$500. Imagine just missing a simple, routine paperwork deadline, and suddenly you are staring down a massive $500 penalty. Or worse, getting a notice in the mail that your business has been completely administratively dissolved by the state. No way, right? It sounds like an absolute nightmare, but for a lot of well-meaning business owners, it's a harsh reality. That $500 figure? That's the late reinstatement fee you could easily face if your business is inactive for over 5 years. And that's on top of all the back reports and the interest. It is a really steep price to pay for a simple oversight.
So, welcome to today's explainer on how to file an LLC annual report in Nebraska. Look, if you're watching this, you're likely trying to keep your business in good standing, you want to protect your assets, and you absolutely want to avoid those terrifying state penalties. Well, you're in exactly the right place. But before we get too far in, there is a massive twist to Nebraska's rules that trips up a ton of people. Nebraska doesn't actually have an annual report for LLCs. They have a biannual report. We're going to get into exactly what that means in just a second, but it's a real game changer.
Let's quickly look at our agenda for this guided rescue mission today. We've got 4 main parts. 1. The importance of compliance. 2. A step-by-step filing guide. 3. Common mistakes to avoid. And 4. Expert tips for success.
Okay, let's dive into this first section. The importance of compliance and beating administrative dissolution. Ignoring state notices is a massive, massive risk. You know that famous corporate veil that legally protects your personal assets? Well, if you fail to file required reports, the state can administratively dissolve your LLC. Just like that, your protections evaporate, literally leaving your home and your savings totally exposed.
Now here is that aha moment I promised you earlier. While a lot of states require an annual report every single year, Nebraska LLCs actually catch a huge break. Yeah, the government is actually cutting you a break for once. You only have to file a biennial report, meaning it happens every 2 years. Specifically, Nebraska LLCs are only required to file in odd-numbered years, so 2023, 2025, 2027, and so on. If you formed your LLC in an even year, you basically get a pass until the very next odd year rolls around. So, what does this all mean? The crucial point is knowing exactly when that clock starts ticking during those odd years. The filing window opens up bright and early on January 1st. Your report is then officially due by April 1st. Now, the state of Nebraska does give you a little bit of a grace period, but I need you to mark your calendar in red ink for June 16th. That is the final delinquency date. If your report isn't received by the Secretary of State by June 16th, your company will be administratively dissolved. Full stop.
Section 2 is our step-by-step filing guide. This is your guided rescue. Don't worry, this does not have to be a stressful, pull-your-hair-out ordeal. I'm going to take you by the hand and practically walk you right through the state's online portal so we can avoid any of those frustrating postal delays.
The entire online process boils down to a remarkably simple 3-step system. First, you're going to search for your specific entity account number. Second, you'll review and update your business information. And third, you'll pay the filing fee. That's really the whole shebang. Let's break down exactly how that looks when you're actually doing it. First things first, you'll want to navigate over to the Nebraska Secretary of State's website and access their online filing system. They'll ask you to log in or just create a really basic account. Once you're inside, you need your Secretary of State Business Services account number. Now, if you don't know it off the top of your head, no problem. Just click the little magnifying glass icon for the Corporate and Business Search tool. Enter that number, and boom, the system pulls up a pre-populated report for your specific LLC. And that brings you to the absolute core of the filing. You'll see your exact LLC name, your principal office address, and your registered agent all listed out. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Nebraska handles changes. If you've moved your office, or maybe you changed your agent over the last 2 years, you don't just type over the old text like you might expect. You must actively click the checkbox that literally says, if this information has changed, please check this box. It seems incredibly minor, but this simple checkbox is absolutely vital for ensuring your new details are legally recorded.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when you finally hit the payment screen. Filing online for your biennial report is just $25. But if you decide to print the form out and mail it in, the state charges you $30. So filing online is processed instantly, it's totally anxiety-free, and hey, it keeps $5 extra in your pocket.
Let's look at Section 3, Common Mistakes to Avoid, to make sure you're staying in good standing. Look, even with a super simple 3-step process, things can and definitely do go wrong. So let's proactively debunk the traps that tend to trip up well-meaning business owners.
Here's a quick breakdown of the biggest traps you absolutely want to avoid. First up, ignoring those address updates. Like we just talked about, you have to actively check that specific designated box online to update your address. The second mistake is forgetting the odd year rule. Because you aren't filing every single year, it is so easy for this to just fall right off your radar. The practical solution? Literally set a calendar alert right now for January of the next odd-numbered year. Finally, do not assume the grace period between April 1st and June 16th is a penalty-free free pass. While the ultimate cutoff for administrative dissolution is in June, missing that initial April 1st due date can trigger a $65 late fee according to compliance experts. That jumps your total cost from $25 to an agonizing $90. Seriously, just file early.
Now, here is a fascinating little insider secret about Nebraska business privacy. When you first form an LLC in Nebraska, the initial certificate of organization actually does not require you to list the names of the members or managers. It's actually quite private. However, these biennial reports, they are fully searchable public records. Anyone can go on the Secretary of State's website, pay a tiny fee, pull up your report, and see your updated details and principal addresses. It's just a really good reminder that total anonymity is pretty tough to maintain, and your compliance documents are, in fact, public record.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, Expert Tips for Success for Long-Term Compliance. Look, filing the report is just one single moment in time, but compliance? That's a continuous, year-round process.
First and absolutely foremost, you must maintain a reliable registered agent. They are the point people who receive the official state reminders and all those critical legal notices. So if they move and you forget to update the state, you're going to miss the warnings before a dissolution happens. Next up, keep thorough internal business records year-round so you aren't completely scrambling for information when filing time actually comes. Crucially, sync your data so your internal records perfectly match what you submit to the state on your biennial report. And finally, if this all just feels like a massive headache, consider hiring a professional compliance service. They can act as your registered agent, track your deadlines, and literally automate this entire process for you.
As an essential pro tip, please remember this quote. This explainer is for educational purposes. Always consult with a legal or financial professional for specific business advice. Every single business has unique circumstances, and local regulations can and do shift. The absolute best way to ensure your specific corporate veil is safeguarded is to consult directly with a qualified professional.
So, we come to the ultimate question. Is your LLC ready for odd-year compliance? Take just 5 minutes today to log on to the Nebraska Secretary of State website, look up your entity, and verify your status. Do not let a simple $25 fee turn into a massive headache, lost legal protections, and a suspended business. Stay informed, file early, and keep your business thriving.